Welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name is Sam Bell. Today we will be exploring the Consolamentum by Sam Bell Parfait. Loved one, imagine a quiet moment at the end of someone's life. A gentle goodbye, not with fear or regret, but with hope and clarity, for a medieval Christian group which was seeded by Mary Magdalene and St. John, called the Cathars. This moment held something deeply sacred, a special spiritual practice called the Consolamentum. The Cathars, a spiritually active movement that thrived in southern France during the 12th and 13th centuries, had a belief system that was refreshingly simple and accessible, inviting all to explore its profound teachings with an open mind and a sense of intrigue. They viewed the world as a battleground between good and evil, light and darkness. For the Cathars, the material world, which they called the creation of a dark, lower power, was seen as a place of suffering and temptation. A stark contrast to the divine realm. With each person, they believed, was a spark of the divine, a piece of the true God of light. Their faith, while distinct from the Catholic Church, was rich, gentle, and deeply meaningful. Despite being labeled as heretics and often persecuted, their beliefs were a testament to the power of personal faith, a stark contrast to the Catholic Church's teachings. While the Catholic Church had many complex rituals, baptism with water, communion with bread and wine, and last rites at death, the Cathars had just one central sacrament, the Consolamentum. The Consolamentum, a powerful spiritual blessing, was a unique sacrament that symbolized the profoundly personal and direct nature of the Cathars' faith, inviting each individual to partake in its spiritual cleansing and feel deeply connected and engaged. It combined the ideas of baptism and communion and last rites, but in a straightforward and personal way. There was no need for water, no need for candles, no altars, just spoken words. The presence of a spiritual guide and the Gospel of St. John were enough. For the Cathars, this was not just a symbol, it was a real connection to the divine, a way for each individual to cleanse their soul and wash away all the mistakes and attachments of the material world. And this sacrament was given in two different ways. One way was for the devoted few. Some people, men and women, dedicated their entire lives to spiritual growth. They lived simply, shared their wisdom, avoided violence, and gave up worldly things. These people were called parfaits or perfects, When they were ready, they received the Consolamentum and became leaders themselves, teachers, and spiritual role models. The second way for this sacrament is for the dying. Most Cathars waited until they were close to death to receive the sacrament. Even though they didn't live as parfaits, receiving the Consolamentum gave them a final chance to let go of regrets and become spiritually clean before passing on. In the eyes of the Cathars, the world we live in was created by a dark, lower power. But within each person was a spark of the divine, a piece of the true God of light. The Consolamentum was a way to free that spark from the prison of the body. Once set free, the soul could return home to the God of goodness, peace, and truth. This knowledge was a stark contrast to the Catholic Church's teachings. The Church believed in a strict system of priests, bishops, and rules. The Cathars, however, rejected all of that. They believed that the spiritual truth did not belong to a powerful institution. They believed it was something simple, personal, and available to all who were ready. Because of their beliefs, the Cathars were brutally attacked. The Church called them dangerous because of their beliefs. Entire villages were destroyed, what became known as a crusade. By the 14th century, the Cathars were nearly wiped out. But their ideas, especially the Consolamentum, did not die. Even today, at this moment, right now, the simple beauty and enduring inspiration of the Consolamentum continue to resonate with you, with people seeking a deeper connection to the divine, inspiring them on your spiritual journey, and filling them with hope and inspiration. Toward the end of the Cathars' time, a few believers went even further, and after receiving the Consolamentum, some chose to fast completely, eating nothing at all until they died. This was called the Endura. To outside observers, it looked like suicide. But to the Cathars, it was seen as a way to completely separate the soul from the corrupt world and prepare it to return to the true God. It was not about physical death, but about spiritual transformation and the death of the ego, the part of us that clings to pride, fear, and selfishness. Some modern spiritual groups, like the Lectorium Rosicrucianum, say that the Endura wasn't really about physical death. They believe it meant death of the ego, the part of us that clings to pride, fear, and selfishness. It was a kind of inner transformation. This mystical death allowed the soul to be reborn into a higher purpose, helping others and serving truth. The Consolamentum was more than a religious ritual. It was a way of seeing the world differently, loved one. It taught that spiritual freedom does not come from power or wealth, but simplicity, compassion, and profound inner clarity. In today's world, where so many voices tell us what to believe, the Cathars remind us to listen to our hearts and question what you are told. They believed, and I know that men and women are equal, that spiritual truth could be found without priests, and that the soul's journey mattered more than appearances or achievements. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Samuel Joseph Bell, Civilian Journalist, spiritualmag.org.